Welcome. You're listening to Underlying Pigment, a hairdresser podcast. My name is Rob Jernigan, and I'm sitting down with individuals from all areas of the salon industry to talk about their processes, the lessons they have learned, and how they try to make an impact. My goal is to bring together stylists, along with current and possible future salon owners, to learn from each other, help each other grow, share their love, their struggles, and personal insights of the industry. Hope you enjoy. Today, I am sitting down with Hunter Donia from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Just announced from Launchpad as the next generation of colorist in the 30 under 30. And I just wanted to sit down with you today and just chat, find out who you are. We just chatted a little bit about some major moves that you have had. And during this COVID-19 era. And I want to talk to you about that. So thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Rob. I'm so excited to have these type of conversations. I am so passionate about this industry. And I find that I feel so bad for my boyfriend because all I do is like talk his ear off about it. And so it's great to have like mutual conversations with people who are just as passionate about it as I am. So I'm excited to chat with you today.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, my husband is not a hairdresser. And when I do talk about it, he's like, yeah.
I'm just like shaking his head and saying, yeah.
He's like, well, can we do this to my hair? And I'm like, no, not possible. So, all right. So I want to start off with just the normal type of what brought you into this industry.
So I started pretty young. When I was younger, I was a little gay boy, and I somehow stumbled upon getting into like my mom's makeup and playing around with makeup and really falling in love with using myself as a canvas for art, really.
Right.
So I kind of fell in love with makeup, and that was around like 7th, 8th grade. And I heard through the grapevine that my high school had a vocational cosmetology program. So I was like, okay, like I'm kind of into makeup. Like this seems like it would be a cool route to take possibly. So why not? So I started my cosmetology vocational program my sophomore year of high school at the age of 15. And I actually did not love the hair part at first. I thought that because I like makeup, the hair just kind of like went along with it, but it's just like such a different ball game, obviously.
Right. Yeah.
And being a man, I don't know if you can relate, but like being a man and like never dealing with, or just actually, I shouldn't even say that, just not having long hair throughout my life.
Mm-hmm.
I never dealt with braiding or even tying a ponytail or like doing anything like that, So it was really challenging and really discouraging at first. But I think once I started to, practice and overcome those challenges, I started to really fall in love with the challenge of it. And I think that's what keeps me so passionate and excited about my job today, is because hair is so challenging, and there's always something new to learn. It's always changing. There's so much science. And then so I started to fall in love with that. And then that really made me fall in love with the industry. So I got into my first salon, my first job ever at the age of 16, starting as an assistant. And then I just went on from there, and here we are today.
That's awesome. So what were some of the speed bumps that you had hit when you first started?
Speed bumps. Well,
I don't want to call them failures, but
Yeah. No, oh my gosh, there's no such thing as failure, right? You learn from things all the time. So I think, like I said, just the challenge of really being so new and fresh. Like I was not talented. I say that like there's really gifted, talented people that join this industry, and then there's people who really have to like work for it and like have to really practice and educate themselves. And I feel like that was me. Like when I first started in beauty school, there was all these other girls around me who were so naturally talented. They were doing their blowouts like it was nobody's business. They were like so great. They could do beautiful braids and etc. everything I did looked like a big frizzy mess.
Right.
So it was really hard because I found myself comparing myself to the people around me. And I feel like that's a really big struggle that even anybody has, in, whether it be in the salon or the beauty school or whatever. I was comparing myself to everybody around me, and that was super discouraging. It made me want to quit, but I'm so glad that I didn't, because I feel like it made me work 2 times harder. And now I have a really well-disciplined plethora of skill because of that. So not giving up and not letting my comparisons of myself to other people get me down and like make me quit has been a really fantastic lesson for me to learn and to continue to practice throughout my life.
So did you have any issues that, like with your age of coming into this industry, being very young, of bringing on new clients or anything like that, of like having to break that barrier of, for one, being a man in the industry? I mean, it's a very, like give and take with that, you know, like it's not necessarily a woman's industry. It's not a man's industry anymore. It's just a, whoever has the talent, the drive, all that stuff can succeed here. You just have to put forward with that. But when it comes to age, I mean, age is age, you know, like if you're 16 going in, it's like you're taking these adults and convincing them that this kid can use these chemicals on them. Did you have any issues with that? And how did you overcome that?
So, like I said, I did join my first salon at the age of 16. Literally my first day there was my 16th birthday. They were like, you know, you don't have to like come here and work on your birthday. I was like, I want to, because I was like so excited about it.
It's a gift to yourself. Yeah,
exactly. So, and it was like the middle of the week on like a Wednesday or something. I can't believe I remember that, but it was so special and important to me. But, so I did start at 16, and I really felt like my biggest problem, and especially with like my generation, you know, we're so like less hands-on with each other nowadays because of like social media and technology. Right. And I found that, you know, as a 16-year-old, you don't have like the best communication skills. Like you don't have like, you know, that normal, you can't talk about relatable things with like, if you're 16, you can't like come up with things to talk about and relate and create connections and stuff. And I found that that was a little bit of a struggle for me, but I'm really glad that I did get into a salon at that age, because I feel like it really helped with pushing myself out of my box and learning communication skills and learning how to relate with people.
Right.
Because there's nothing worse than like when you have a guest and they're sitting there and it's just awkward and you don't know what to talk about and it's just like weird, you know? So I think that was a little bit of a speed bump for me at first. But again, like we said, like there's always a lesson to be learned, and it's always just about growth. And I feel like that was one thing. And then another thing was, you know, I was around all these like established, beautiful, amazing, talented hairstylists. And I'm just like this little boy walking in. But the beautiful thing about it was, you know, they all really took me under my wing. Like they all joked that like they raised me through the salon. And I was like the salon baby. And I think that wasn't really an issue at that time. But I think that the whole age thing and how I started became an issue later on. I think that I was there for 5 years. And I think by my 5th year, I had been on the floor for about like 2 years, and I was doing really, really well. Became a brand educator. And I felt like I had a lot to share with my peers. And I felt like since I was always the baby and I like was kind of grown up there and like they taught me everything that they knew, nobody was really receptive to the things that I wanted to share with them. So that it wasn't an issue when I was a baby. That was actually great. But then it turned into something that was a little bit difficult later on, because I wanted to gain the respect of my peers and I wanted to share the knowledge that I know. But it was a little bit harder because people just always looked at me as like the little kid, you know?
Yeah. So now going into education, so you've been teaching for how long now?
So I've been a brand educator with you for probably a year and a half.
Okay.
Now, around there, yeah.
So with like going in to teach a class, like dealing with people like stylists, you know, personally, is one thing, you know, especially when they're giving you kind of like this brick wall of I'm trying to teach you something new, like, and they kind of know it all already. So how do you prepare for a class to go in and do that now with stylists you don't know? Like, do you have like a little way that you get in like outside your head and just prepare for a class like that?
Yeah. And I think that you bring up a really good point about stylists being experienced and maybe not being so open to learning new things or feeling like they don't want to be talked down to, especially from like this kid, right? Like I'm still like pretty young. So I go into these salons and there's these people who've been doing it literally like quadruple the time that I've been doing it or more. And I'm coming in and I'm teaching them new information. So it is a little bit of a worry for me. Like I do get in my head, like I want to make sure that I share this information, but I want to respect my peers and the people who have been in it for a really long time. So I just really remind myself to be super humble. And I think that what I love so much about being an educator is that I learn so much every single time I go teach a class. So I'm a brand educator for U4 International. So I do go and teach, brand new product launches. So like when somebody's just getting it on for the first time, but I also teach, refreshers and for like new staff and et cetera. And it's really great because I learn the ways that they use the products. I learn different techniques that they have or how do they handle curly hair or thick hair or whatever it may be. And I get to learn too. So I think the best way that I, get out of my head and not be worried about maybe like, I don't know, rubbing people the wrong way is just remembering that like, we're all in this together and we can all work as a team. And I'm not there to, be this all-knowing being. I'm just another human being with a little bit of knowledge about this product line. And I'm here to help you if you want help. And we can all share ideas and see what we like and see what we don't like,
That's awesome. So now reading your bio online, it says you are a balayage specialist. So with that, did you find that was just like your favorite little technique to go with? Did you like just realize that it was a trend that you were like headed towards with your clients? What took you down that road of finding like a specialty per se?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So when I first started in beauty school, when I was like 16, I mean, balayage was like the huge thing that was happening at the time. So I actually, and in my salon, since I was there when I was 62, that's what was like really popping off. Everybody was coming in asking for a balayage. So I really learned balayage before I like learned how to foil, like do traditional foils, which is crazy, but like that's just how it went. Me and my beauty school teacher would literally get into fights because all I wanted to do was balayage. she was like, you can't, you can't do every look with balayage. And I would like argue with her that you could. But then eventually I was like, you know what? There really is a place for foils and there is a place for balayage. Obviously they have their spots. But anyway, so I really started out learning balayage, and that's what my age group at the time wanted. And those were the people who were coming to me to practice on them. Like they were my guinea pig. So that's kind of how I started my clientele. Those were the pictures that I started posting on my Instagram and the services that I started to offer. And I did kind of go through a phase where I was like the blonding specialist. And then actually this quarantine, I decided to rebrand myself and like really focus on what my target market was and the hair that I actually enjoyed doing. And blonding, yes, I still love it. Yes, I'm like, it's great. Those people are awesome. And it's obviously good money, but it's stressful. And a lot of people have very unrealistic expectations.
Definitely.
So, and it's okay because, you just have to handle that in the ways that us as hairdressers handle it. But what I really found that like, if I had to just choose one person and one thing to do every single day, all day, it'd be my balayage people, So I really wanted to rebrand myself to specifically be specializing in balayage. And with that comes just like the blondies, blonde balayages and et cetera. So I still get my little taste of that, but it's not as much as I used to. And now I found that all my new clients are like my perfect people. And it it is so beautiful because if you're going to be doing this and if you're going to be like loving your job, you don't want to. Burnout is easy, right? Burnout's easy.
Definitely.
If we're doing things that we don't necessarily love to do. So it's been cool so far.
Nice. So one thing you had mentioned, like during the quarantine, all that stuff, I want to talk about that in a minute, but as far as being like a balayage specialist, how are you charging for your expertise? I mean, you put in the practice, you put in all this education with it. How are you determining what you're worth? And also, what advice would you give to someone who is trying to figure out how to figure out what their worth is?
Absolutely. So, I mean, this is like kind of tough because there's a couple different answers. So I worked at 2 salons, my first one that I was at for 5 years and one that I was at for this past year. And I kind of took both those prices and I kind of averaged them together. Okay. However, I am part of, I don't know if you ever heard of Brit Siva and Thriving Stylists and Thriver Society.
No,
it's like So Brit Siva is a social media marketing coach, and she also teaches hairdressers how to run their businesses, and she goes through every single part of the business and breaks it all down.
Okay.
I actually signed up for her program literally like right as we all shut down. And it was so great because I had so much time to work on it because it is like a digital at your own pace like program. Okay. But she has actually a pricing module where she goes over like based upon how many guests you have, what your retention is, where you should be priced. And when I went through it, I found out that I was kind of like where I should be already.
Right.
And of course that's based upon her own research and what the averages are and et cetera, et cetera. But I think that, it's just, if you can't charge your worth, I mean, it's really a shame because I feel like a lot of this industry gets blindsided by like all the creativity and all the artistic stuff, which is so fantastic and amazing. And like all the skills, right? All the new hair cutting techniques and balayage techniques where they're super important, but we really forget about the business side of things. Mm-hmm. And it's like, if it wasn't for the money that we were bringing in, right, then we wouldn't have the opportunity to make a living off of these beautiful techniques and these fun, artistic, creative things, right? So, I mean, every time that you quote unquote, like discount somebody or give somebody a break, then you're taking away from your family. You're taking away from feeding yourself and your family and your opportunities. And if you can't take care of yourself, then you can't take care of anybody else. So the way that I charge is I have like I kind of bundled my price for the balayage, my toner, and my bond protector all together. And I'm not discounting any of them, but I'm just kind of like, if you're getting a balayage, then you're going to get a toner and you're going to get a bond protector, and this is my price. And that's that on that. So that way there's no extra things on the receipt. That way I don't have to explain it. It just is already in there, and it creates more value in the service because then it's like, oh, this is included in, rather than saying, here's this add-on and this add-on and this add-on, which I have found to be so beautiful for me, rather than having to like explain all these different things in the beginning of my consultation. So now, does that answer your question?
Yes. So one thing you kind of steered into on there was discounting. So when you discount, it's not helping you per se. So you might want to discount for a new client coming in because you think it's going to get them to come in again. With that though, you're setting an expectation with that client that, okay, so I am getting this blowout and they're doing this and this and this, and half of that's free this time, but next time it should be free as well. Or whatever the case is, the client, you're setting an expectation for that client to come back, either explaining to them that this is a one-time service that is complimentary. Next time you're going to have to pay for it. Well, next time they might not want it because they're not going to want to pay for it. So they're going to treat it as just like a gift with purchase type thing on that one off and not want to do it again. Or they're going to be like, well, you didn't charge me for it last time. Why are you charging now? Because you didn't explain well enough to that. Like I hate discounting. I mean, if you're going to do something complimentary for whatever reason, that's fine, as long as it's like understood for that. But
yes,
it's a very fine line there as far as trying to build up a clientele based on discounts. Like it's not something that you can really achieve like success with, so
I completely agree.
Yeah. And a lot of people they don't understand that, like
well, the discount buyer is coming to you because you're giving them a discount. And so that person in their brain, they're wired to always look for the discount.
Right.
So, I mean, they a lot of the time, I mean, sometimes you can, I mean, if you bring them in and you blow them away with your experience, which a lot of us do, and I have the confidence to do, sometimes they will come back and they'll pay your prices, but I mean, they'll probably just find a lot of the time they'll probably just find the next discount that's out there or always expect the same discount. And it's also, you want to fill your book with people who are going to pay your prices and then some and buy product and do this and do that. And that's what you want to build your book upon. Not people who are going to be, discounting and et cetera, et cetera.
Definitely. So now one thing I want to talk about, and you kind of brought this up earlier as far as like posts on Instagram and stuff like that as well. So how are you using social media to help build your business? You're always active on there, it seems. So
yeah, so I would say that probably I've been using Instagram to build my business since I started, especially because my age group being like the blondies and my target market, being like my balayage people and my blonde people and the people who want to really keep up with that stuff and want to have low maintenance, but also, be pretty and et cetera.
Right.
I've been using it since the beginning, but I've really, really been able to step it up this past year, especially, before opening this suite. I was like, if I'm going to open up this suite, I'm going to freaking go all in with it, especially with my social media, especially with my marketing. So like I said, I do have a target market. And this is through Britt Siva's methods. I'm like obsessed with her. But I have a target market. So like I literally have a girl. Her name is Taylor. She is 28 years old. She shops at Urban and Anthropology and et cetera, et cetera. And she loves to have lived-in hair color. And she wants to look pretty, but she doesn't want to come into the salon too often, but she'll do whatever she needs to do and listen to me about whatever I need to tell her to do to get what she wants to get. And she is a young professional. She's just starting out with her job, but it's like a really nice job. She has a boyfriend and her dog. She doesn't have any kids. Is not married yet. She's not even engaged. And so like I have this person, right? And every single thing that I post is talking to that person. And this is really like basic 101, like marketing skills. Like that's what it really goes back to. Like when you learn marketing in like a college, let's say, like that, and you study that, like that is what you talk about is like having a target market. Because let's think about this. Like, let's say you were going to like get plastic surgery. Let's say you were going to get your lips done, right? You wouldn't want to go to the plastic surgeon that just does everything. You want to go to the plastic surgeon that does lips, right? So that's why it's been so successful for me, is because the people who want what I want to do are finding me and trusting me and wanting to come see me for that. And then it's a win-win situation because they're getting a specialist who knows what they're doing, and I'm getting to do all the people that I want to do and will spend the money with me and that I'm happy doing. So that's how I'm using my Instagram to build my clientele.
That's awesome. So now, are you doing your booking online as well? Like, through your Instagram to get all your clients in? Okay.
Yes. So I have Gloss Genius. So I actually don't do any booking through the phone. If you message me on my Instagram or you do text my business phone number, which I really only use for when my guest is here and they're texting me that they're outside so I can go grab them, I will direct them to my booking link. So that way I'm not dealing with when I'm at work, I'm at work. When I'm home, I'm home. And I'm not getting texts at 12 p.m. talking about getting them in, next week. And it's also like the phone tag game of going back and forth and figuring out which dates and times work best for people is just exhausting. And it's not convenient for either me or the guest.
Yeah.
So, when I can just send them my booking link and they can find the soonest available time and date that works for them, then it works well for all of us, And I also, in my online booking, I do require credit card information just to hold the appointment. So that way I can enforce my cancellation policy, and the guest who is signing up for the service is being serious about it. And they're not just going to cancel on me because they know that they've actually put the commitment down in the beginning. So.
Okay. So the next direction I want to go here is COVID-19. So you made a huge change during this time frame. Now I know you did education, you're doing online education, all that. You had plenty of time to do tons of stuff, just like everybody else, while we were all at home. But tell us about your huge adventure that you started.
Yeah, so I did open up a salon suite right as Pennsylvania reopened in my county. So I was at a commissioned salon for the past year after. So I basically, my story is I was at the salon that I worked at for about 5 years, my first salon. And then I moved about an hour and a half away to live with my partner. So then I was at a different salon because I was not going to trek an hour and a half every single day. So I worked at a different commission salon for about a year, and it was absolutely fantastic. The owner was the most amazing leader I have ever seen in my life. She's taught me so much. Big shout out to her if she's listening. And the team was fantastic. They had the culture that I really loved. It was all fantastic. And then quarantine happened, and I had a lot of time to think and learn and educate myself, educate others. I had a lot of time to really focus on what I wanted and what my priorities were and what my business was and what part of my career I was in and what I was looking for. And so I, was thinking about the suite idea for a while, but I didn't think I was ready. I thought I didn't have enough money saved. I thought I didn't have my clientele built up enough. It was like fear.
Right.
And the what ifs. And it was like 3 or even less than that weeks before we all went and opened again. And I texted the landlord at, my suite, and, because we've been kind of talking a little bit. I was like, hey, sister, I think I'm ready to go. I think I'm just going to, I literally said, I'm having a little spurt of courage. And I think I'm just going to say, screw it and do it. So I got the suite ready within 2 weeks, basically, and got everything all together. And then I opened up when everything opened up. So it was a little bit of a whirlwind, but it was so perfect. And I've been open for more than 2 months now. And it has just been beautiful. I've been loving it so far.
That's awesome. Now, did y'all shut back down at any point after?
We did not. We were super grateful that we have not. And, hopefully it does not happen again. But, I understand for the safety of others, if it has to happen, it is what it is. But luckily, we have not had to experience another shutdown.
That's awesome. So I want to put this next question into two parts. One is, what's some advice that you'd give someone wanting to step into the industry? And then what do you think would be the major thing to think about versus commission or booth rent as far as they expand into the industry?
I think, so number one, if somebody's stepping into the industry, it's so important to focus on the business side of things. Mm-hmm. We go to beauty school, we learn a really easy foundational haircut. We learn how to do a root touch up. We learn how to do a partial foil and a million different perm rod techniques and a million times. and then we graduate, we get our license, and then they just kind of say, okay, go make money, go to a salon and go live your life as a hairdresser. And we don't learn how to make money. We don't learn what we should expect from an employer. We don't learn what we should expect out of ourselves. We don't learn how to market ourselves. We don't learn sales. And at the end of the day, everybody hates to hear this. This is a very unpopular opinion.
Right.
But I mean, our industry is, it is a service industry, but we're selling a service. So we're low key kind of a sales industry.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I mean, we all have to be salesmen, and we all have to be marketing ourselves. Once you, whether you're in commission or you're booth rental or whatever it may be, once you step into this industry, you are a business owner. You are a brand of yourself. And you can wait around and just wait for your clientele to grow. And that'll take a really, really long time. Or you can work your butt off and you can get the business education that you need, and you can market yourself. You can figure out how to sell to people. You can figure out how to get people to stay with you and love the things that you do. You can learn how to blow people away with your services and your experience. Or you can just wait around for your clientele to build for 3 years and struggle and be miserable. Because I was at that point when I moved out here from my old salon to a whole new area. I had to build my clientele from the ground up. And I feel like all the veteran people, they were always like, you're just going to have to be patient. Like, you'll just have to go hand out your business cards, yada, yada, yada. And it's like, I was going to hand out my business cards twice a week at the mall, and literally not one person came to see me. And I don't think it was because of the way that I approached them or like my card or whatever it may be, but I just think that's just not the way of the world anymore. I mean, you're literally walking up to strangers and you're like, they have no idea who you are. You're literally soliciting them with just annoyance when they're like trying to go about their day. And no matter how nice you are or how cool you are, that you're still a stranger and nobody trusts you. So when you have a really strong social media and you have a strong website and you have a whole marketing funnel, people who want to come to you, who you would actually like to have in your chair, will come to you, and your clientele will build much, much faster. And you'll build them with people who you actually like to see and like to have. So if you're stepping into this industry, yes, super important to know what you're doing when it comes to color and cuts, obviously. So make sure you're getting your education with that and feeling comfortable with that. But also don't forget about the business part, because truly it is really the most important part of it all, in my opinion. And then as far as booth rental and commission, so actually in Pennsylvania, booth rental is illegal.
Okay.
So I don't have too much personal experience as far as locally as far as booth rental goes. So, but suite ownership is legal. So it's suite is good, commission's obviously fine, but booth rental is not. However, I would say start in a commission salon, because you will be under people who will be working as a team. You will have mentorship. You'll be able to really learn from other people, and you won't have to deal with, being nervous if you're going to have a paycheck to live the week or the next week. As much as if you were a booth rental and you still have to pay your rent and et cetera, et cetera. I would just say be in a commission salon and live with it and learn as much as you possibly can. Build up your clientele while you can, while you have a little bit of that safety net. And then once you feel as if you are ready for the extra responsibility of running your own business and running your own branding, and because this, what I'm doing now with my suite versus when I was in the commission salon, is 10 times more work. Yeah. But it's so worth it. And it's so beautiful for a lot of people who are willing to take on the extra work. But for some people, it's not. Some people don't just want to go to work, make their money, and go home. And that was not the case. So, I mean, if you're somebody who, really just wants to go to work, make your coin, be with a cool team, have a really great team-based environment, start with a commission salon and stick with it. Or if you do think that you eventually want to be independent, have a little bit more responsibility, still start with a commission salon. And then once you feel a little bit ready and built up and have some experience, then you can go booth rent or own your own suite or open a salon or whatever it may be. That is my personal perspective and opinion. And
Awesome. So now I do have a question as far as, like you're doing everything like through social media, online booking, all that stuff. So when you go home, you are at home. You're not having to worry about your phone ringing off the hook or anything like that. So what are you doing outside of the salon? Like what is Hunter all about outside?
As far as like not working.
Yeah. When you are not working and when you're not having your boyfriend try to put makeup on you, which he's a firefighter, by the way. And like I said earlier, before we started the podcast, I have this video to save to watch it a little bit. So what Rob is referring to is I have a video, which I did over quarantine, of my firefighter boyfriend, who is like this super masculine macho dude, do my makeup. And it was a really fun time. So I was trying my best to, stay connected with my audience during quarantine as much as I possibly could, to make sure that I wasn't just dipping out on them or going ghost. But when I'm outside of the salon in a normal world, I love music. So I'm always attending live events. I've seen so many different artists. I've been to a lot of different festivals. I love hanging out with friends. I like to go on nature hikes. I love to travel. I haven't done much travel outside of the US, but I've been able to travel around the US a lot. And it's so cool how much culture and different little things there are in the United States and how much we take them for granted. Like everybody just wants to go straight to Italy when there's really all this awesome stuff that you can see right in the United States. So I've been to New Orleans, I've been to Colorado, I've been to Maine, obviously New York City a couple times. I go to California because U4 is based out of California, and there's just like so much beauty and cool things to see. And I feel like life's too short to not see more than just what you're used to, at least like a couple times in your lifetime. So in normal world, and of course it's like all the things that I like to do, like I can't do right now. Yeah, right.
But it's good timing because I just opened the business. So I really am focused on that. But yeah, that's me outside of Hair by Hunty.
Nice. So what are 2 things that you would have on your bucket list that you just can't wait to like scratch through?
Well, one thing on my bucket list is, have you ever heard of Hair Aid, Rob?
No.
Okay, so Hair Aid, don't quote me because I don't have a super intense understanding, but here's the general idea. So Hair Aid is, I think, based out of Australia organization. And what they do is they have hairdressers actually volunteer to go to countries and areas in critical poverty and teach people, and mostly women, who have been saved from sex trafficking or drug circle and rings, who are in critical poverty, like serious messed up poverty. And they teach them how to cut hair. So that way they can actually, start their own businesses and make money. And so that way they can get a head start with an actual career. And so a bunch of hairdressers go and they set up a little like I think it's like a week-long training for them. We set them up with shears and clips and a little bit of a business starting situation. And you go there for a week and you teach these people and you get to help out, and then you fly home. So I just found that it was a really, really, really cool idea. And it's something that I definitely want to do one day. I think that as a hairdresser, you do have to invest a fair amount of money to go, because it'll cover travel and getting those people their equipment and our equipment and et cetera. But that is definitely one huge bucket list thing for me that I would like to do one day.
That's awesome.
Another bucket list thing for me is I really want to, and of course I'm so career oriented. I'm like so passionate about my industry. So I'm sorry if I just if I'm only talking about industry, but another big, really huge bucket list thing for me is to have my own independent education business of some sort.
Nice.
As you kind of have guessed by now, I'm really passionate about the business side of things. I think that my peers and this industry deserve more than what they're getting. And I think that we can make this industry and our jobs and whatever we want them to be, and we can live a really happy and beautiful life with the opportunities that are given to us as hairdressers. But we need the right education and business skills for that. And I would love to be able to share what I've done to get the success that I have gotten so far with my peers. And I think that to start that would be a really big bucket list thing for me.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's really impressive. Like, I'm definitely going to check out the hair aid thing.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah,
it's
awesome.
This is just like the coolest idea ever, and the story behind it is really awesome. I forget the lady who actually takes care of the organization, but Tabitha Coffee is really involved in it as well. But there's a couple podcasts out about it. And there's information online if you look up Hair Aid. So it's a really, really cool organization. I really want to get involved in eventually.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to look up the information on that. It sounds like it's definitely something we could all help out with. And yeah. So now, are you doing any type of charity work, anything like that locally at this point?
So the one thing that I am doing right now, and it's super duper duper small, but I obviously want to expand and get into more things eventually as I get more settled with my business. But right now, what I've done for the past month is I've actually just have a little raffle basket. It has $150 worth of things in it that are all Euphoria things. And it's just a donation raffle basket. 100% of the proceeds are going to a LGBTQ charity that is for Black people. So like, I'm still trying to dial down if I want to donate to multiple organizations or just one, but I'll definitely be donating to a organization. It's called For the Girls, and it is for Black trans women and funding for them to be in safe, housing and to have safe experiences and get the funding that they do need. So 100% of the proceeds from that raffle are going to that organization, possibly a couple others. But that is the only thing that I've been able to really get into. I've raised about $400 with that, though. So that has been fantastic.
Wow. That's awesome.
And I definitely want to continue to do things with the even small impact that I may have all throughout my career, 100%, and get involved with local charities and local, like there's an LGBTQ coalition. There is something called Safe House Lancaster, which is for the empowerment of Black people and all of those great things. So I would really love to continue to get involved with those things as time goes on.
That's awesome. So now you mentioned earlier you like to go to concerts, all that stuff. So I'm interested to know, if you had a theme song for yourself, what would it be?
That's such a hard question. This is corny, but I think probably Green Light by Lorde. And the reason why is because it is it's kind of about a breakup and getting over somebody, but I feel like there's a bigger meaning to it in my perspective. It's all about just having something. It's all about waiting for when the moment is right, or when you can move on, or when you can, just go on to your next chapter in your life. But I feel like it's a really empowering song because I take it as I can, instead of waiting, I can just, make that green light for myself, and I can just go whenever I feel like I'm ready, and move past weird experiences in my life, whatever they may be. So that's my corny little theme song.
I mean, that's awesome. And it pretty much describes what you've just done during the quarantine. So I'd say that's perfect. So are there any resources that have really helped you out on your journey that you maybe didn't expect to be a true resource when you had it at that time, looking back?
Well, I mean, I know I've already talked about it, but so I don't know what you mean by resource, but this is the answer that I'm going to give. So,
yeah.
Okay. So, Thriver Society by Brit Siva, like I've already said, has been so sensationally life-changing for me. She just knows what the heck she's talking about. She has coached to thousands and thousands of stylists, and she has just flipped my game upside down. Like, I thought that I was good at social media. I thought I was good at everything before I joined that program. And after joining it, it completely like flipped everything on my head. And it really was the thing that gave me the courage to be able to open this business and do it in such a strong way. So Brit Siva's Thriving Stylist podcast is a thing right now that people can listen to as a free resource from her. And she does free trainings all the time. And then she does have a paid digital course that you can sign up for as well. And I promise she's not paying me to say all this stuff. This is just an honest testimonial. She is fantastic. And she has been a really fantastic resource for me so far. So
that's awesome. Yeah, I'm going to share her information in the bio of this podcast, because that is something that I think everyone would be able to benefit from and have as a resource.
Absolutely.
So, and then is there anything you wish you would have known before you started this industry?
I feel like a broken record, but business, like didn't know how to make money. I did not know how to make money. I did not know what money I should have expected. I did not know how to sell things to my client. I did not know how to get them to pre-book. I did not know how to give them an experience that was really worthwhile, because everybody says, I'm different because I make my clients feel great about themselves. And it's like you and every other hairdresser,
right,
Yeah. So to find like the niches and find the things that really blow people away that they can't find other places. I wish that I would have focused more on that and figuring out what that was for my people, and figuring out how to sell things and figuring out how to market myself and all of those things. I really, really do wish that I took that more seriously, or that I was even, aware that that was a thing that I should be focusing on. So.
Yeah, definitely. So that's something that's really lacking. I've noticed a lot of the newer education coming out is like steering towards business and everything, but it almost seems like it's a little too late for the brands and stuff to focus on that. Like, that's something that should be done. Like, okay, this is how you do a 45-degree haircut. Now, next chapter, we're talking about business, mix it in to where, like you're learning it and is just as important as doing that foil or doing this cut. 'Cause it is a huge thing for our business, especially nowadays. So with the business side of things, you said you sound like a broken record, but it's something that we need to like instill in ourselves and instill into the next generation of hairdressers, especially, is you need to know this before you just jump out there.
It should be a standard. I mean, and it's so interesting because in a normal view and the general mass of society, right? They go to college, they get into these businesses, and they like work their way up through their companies and get promotions and et cetera, et cetera. Right. And that's like normal. Like, that's like what most people go on the path of. And they would never in their dreams, most of the time, actually go ahead and open up their own business. Like, that is a very small majority of these huge, like these other, mainstream jobs, right? Or college educated jobs. Whereas with our industry, we graduate beauty school and we don't get any business skills and we don't have any formal business education. And somehow we end up opening businesses in our salons all the time. And we end up leading teams and end up literally being responsible for people's livelihoods and the way that they're making money and the environment that they're making money in, without any formal business training, without any leadership training. And I find that that's a really huge problem. I think it's actually kind of crazy to think about. Like, and that's why a lot of salons really, really struggle. And that's why the profit margins aren't there for a lot of people, is because, and a lot of salon owners, is because we just don't get that formal training like these other, you know, college educated business owners may have.
Right.
So I think it's something that's really important that we do have to prioritize and add into our essential training, even from the get-go. So
definitely. So one last thing is basically just, is there anything that I should have asked you today that I didn't, that you could think of that you'd want to share with our listeners?
What's my Instagram?
Well, that was going to be the next thing. That's the closeout. So we can go ahead and go into that. So where can the listeners find you online?
That was just my smart way of avoiding the question.
Yeah.
So my Instagram is hair by Hunty, Hunty, on Instagram. And you can find me on Facebook. I'm not as active, but it is Hunter Donia, balayage specialist of some sort on Facebook. So find me on Instagram. Don't waste your time on Facebook. Find me on Instagram. Nice. Hair by Hunty.
Awesome. So, so Instagram, I'll have that listed below. And then I'm also going to throw some links on there for the hair aid, and the thriving stylist. So I've pulled that up online, and I'm definitely going to look into that myself, and we'll share that with everyone. So I am going to ask one final thing. And it is, how did it feel to be announced as part of the 30 Under 30 from Launchpad?
Oh my gosh. It was like so crazy. I literally don't even know how I got on that list, but but it was really, really, really awesome. I'm super honored to be on a list of, joining that list with so many amazing, talented people. And I'm the youngest person on there too, which is like crazy. So super humbled, really, really gave me a reminder that I'm on the right track and that I am where I'm supposed to be. So very, very excited and grateful for that, for sure.
That's awesome. So, well, congratulations on that. And I do appreciate your time today. And we're going to say bye to the listeners for now.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, Rob. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate you being on here. So have a good day.
You too.
Bye.